Chapter 1, The Perfect Life. My name is Sarah, and I have been married to John for 10 years. We have two wonderful children, Emma and Jack, ages 8 and 6. I always thought we had the perfect family. We met at a party in college, where John, captain of the football team, spotted me, a shy student, sitting in the corner with a book. He came over, introduced himself, and from then on we were inseparable. We got married a year after graduation, and our life seemed like a real fairy tale. Every morning began the same. I would make breakfast, and John would help the kids get dressed. Emma, our eldest, loved to help me in the kitchen, whisking eggs or cutting fruit, and Jack, with his restless energy, always found a way to cheer everyone up. One morning, while I was frying pancakes, Jack suddenly announced, "Dad, are we going to the park today?" John smiled as he tied his shoelaces and replied, "Sure, son, after school." I stood by the stove, listening to their conversation, and felt a warmth in my heart. John came up to me, put his arm around my waist, and kissed my cheek. "Thanks for breakfast, love," he said. "I'll be a little late at work today, but I'll try to get home early." "Okay, honey," I replied, kissing him goodbye. "We'll be waiting." He left, and I stayed with the kids, thinking about how lucky I was. I worked freelance, which allowed me to be home with the kids while John built a career in marketing. Our evenings were often spent over family dinners, where we discussed how our days went, or watched movies, cozying up on the couch. Emma loved to talk about her school projects, and Jack shared stories about his adventures on the playground. On weekends, we loved to go on family outings. Sometimes we would go to the local park, where the kids would ride their bikes, and John and I would sit on a bench, sipping coffee and talking about our plans for the future. In the summer, we would go to the lake, where the kids would splash in the water, and John and I would sit on the shore, holding hands, dreaming about how we would one day buy a house by the water. One of my most treasured memories was our first wedding anniversary. John arranged a romantic dinner on the roof of our house, decorated with garlands and candles. The city lights shone in the distance, and he gave me a silver necklace with a small heart-shaped pendant. "This is so you will always remember that I love you more than anything in the world," he said, putting it on me. I still wear that necklace, although now it reminds me of what was, and of what I have lost. I couldn't imagine that this idyll would ever end. But looking back, I see small signs that I ignored at the time. John began working late more often, and although he always called to let me know that he would be late, I sometimes felt lonely. But I brushed these thoughts aside, because we had such a happy family, and I trusted him with all my heart. Now I realize that these small cracks in our perfect life were the first signs of a coming storm that I didn't notice until it hit us. Chapter 2, First Suspicions. About 6 months ago, I started noticing changes in John's behavior. At first, it was small things that I chalked up to fatigue or stress. He started staying late at work more often, citing important projects. I tried to be supportive, but something was wrong. John had always been an open person, but now he was secretive with his phone. He'd take it to another room to answer calls, or quickly close apps when I walked into the room. I tried to dismiss the worry, telling myself it was just paranoia. One night, while we were having dinner, his phone vibrated on the table. He quickly grabbed it and left the room to answer it. When he returned, I asked, "Are you okay?" "Who called?" "Just work," he said, not looking me in the eye. I nodded, but something inside me clenched. This wasn't like John. He always shared everything that happened at work with me. A few days later, I noticed that he had changed the password on his phone. When I asked why, he said it was for security, that someone could steal his data. I believed him, but my doubts did not go away. I began to watch him more closely. He began to dress more carefully for work, although before he did not care what he wore. He even began to wear a new cologne that I had given him for his birthday, but which he rarely used. One Saturday morning, John said that he was going to play golf with friends. I decided to surprise him by arriving at the course with lunch. But when I got to the golf club, his car was not there. I called him, and he said that he left early because of an urgent matter at work. Whose car did you leave in? I asked. He hesitated, and then answered. I took a taxi. It was strange. John hated taxis. I felt my stomach tighten, but I didn't push it. That evening, I decided to talk to him. John, you've been so distant lately. Is something wrong? I showed up at the course today and you weren't there. He looked surprised. You showed up? Why didn't you tell me? I wanted to surprise you, I said. But you said you were away on business, taking a cab. That's not like you. He sighed. Sarah, I'm just exhausted. The project at work is draining, and sometimes I need time to recover. I wasn't in the mood for golf today, so I went for a drive to clear my head. I didn't want to worry you, so I said it was work. I wanted to believe him, but something about his words didn't sound convincing. I forced myself to smile and nod, but I couldn't shake the anxiety. Every night I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was imagining it all. John was my husband, the father of my children. He couldn't lie to me. But the shadow of doubt grew, and I couldn't ignore it. Chapter 3, The First Clue. One Sunday morning, while the kids were playing in the yard, I was sorting through the laundry. While checking John's pants pockets, I came across a folded piece of paper. It was a receipt from the Grandview Hotel, dated 2 weeks earlier. My heart sank. John had said he had been late at work that night, preparing a presentation. But the Grandview was not a business hotel, it was a romantic place with a rooftop restaurant where couples went on dates. I sat on the laundry room floor, staring at the receipt, trying to make sense of it. Was it a mistake? Was he there with coworkers? But the receipt showed a room charge, not just dinner. My blood ran cold. When John came down for breakfast, I decided to ask him. John, I found this receipt from the Grandview, I said, trying to keep my voice calm. Were you there? He looked at me, and for a split second his eyes widened. Oh, yeah, it was a client meeting, he said, picking up a cup of coffee. They wanted a casual setting, so we booked the conference room. But it says room charges, I said, my voice shaking. It must have been a mistake, he said quickly. I didn't stay the night. Maybe someone on the team booked the room and I got the receipt. His explanation sounded plausible, but I could see him avoiding my eyes. I nodded, not wanting to make a scene in front of the kids, but inside I was seething. That evening, when we were alone, I brought it up again. John, was it really just a meeting? The Grandview is not the place for business dinners. He frowned. Sarah, you don't trust me? I told you, it was work. Don't make a mountain out of a molehill. His irritation silenced me. I didn't want to be the wife who suspected her husband without evidence. But the receipt wouldn't leave my mind. I even thought about calling the hotel and asking, but that seemed too much. Instead, I began to notice other little things. John's hugs were less frequent, our conversations were shorter, and his smile seemed forced. I tried to convince myself that it was just stress, but my gut was screaming that something was wrong. Chapter 4, Discovering the Truth. Everything changed one night when John was in the shower. His phone, left on the kitchen counter, vibrated with a new message. I looked up and saw a text from Elle. Can't wait to see you tonight, winky face. My heart started pounding. Elle was Lisa, my best friend. But why was she sending my husband these messages? I knew I shouldn't, but curiosity and suspicion got the better of me. I picked up my phone, we always knew each other's passwords, and opened the conversation. What I saw gave me the chills. Dozens of messages, flirty, personal, with plans for meetings. You look incredible tonight, I can't wait to see you again, last night was unforgettable. There were even photos Lisa in a dress I'd never seen her wear, with the caption for you. I scrolled up and realized this had been going on for months. They were discussing their feelings, planning dates, and John was writing, "I love you, Lisa. I know it's hard, but I can't live without you." The world around me was crumbling. My husband was cheating on me with my best friend. Lisa, who I shared all my secrets with, who was at our wedding, had betrayed me. I felt devastated. When John came out of the shower, I was sitting at the table, holding his phone, my eyes full of tears. "Explain this to me," I said, pointing to the screen. His face went pale. "Sarah, it's not what you think." "It's not? You're sleeping with my best friend." I screamed. He sank into a chair as if the air had been sucked out of him. "I'm sorry, Sarah. It just happened. We didn't mean to." "You didn't mean to? You both betrayed me." I couldn't hold back my tears. I threw the phone on the table and ran into the bedroom, slamming the door. I sobbed, feeling my life falling apart. Everything I believed in turned out to be a lie. Chapter 5, Confrontation. After that night, I couldn't look at John without it hurting. We barely spoke, and I moved into the spare room. But I knew I had to figure this out. One night, when the kids were at Grandma's, I decided to talk to him. "John, I want to know how this started." "Why, Lisa?" I asked, trying to stay calm. He sighed, looking at the floor. "It started at an office party. Lisa and I were drinking a lot, and things went wrong. At first it was just flirting, but then... I don't know how it happened. Why didn't you stop? Why didn't you tell me? I was afraid of losing you and the kids. I thought I could stop it, but I couldn't." His words sounded like an apology, but they didn't ease the pain. "You told her you loved her. Do you still love her?" He shook his head. "No, Sarah. I love you. It was a mistake, and I will do anything to fix it." But I couldn't trust him. Trust was broken. The next day, I met Lisa at our favorite cafe. When she arrived, her face was full of guilt. "Sarah, I'm so sorry," she began, her voice shaking. "I don't know what came over me. It was a mistake." "A mistake? You were like a sister to me. How could you?" My voice shook with anger and pain. "I know, and I will regret it for the rest of my life. Please forgive me." "Forgive me? How can I forgive you? You destroyed my family." I stood up and walked away, leaving her alone. Our friendship was ruined forever. The confrontations with John and Lisa were painful, but necessary. They made me realize how deeply I was hurt. But I still didn't know what to do next. Chapter 6, The Road to Healing. After all these events, I felt lost. My life, which I thought was perfect, turned out to be built on a lie. But I had children, Emma and Jack, who needed stability, and despite the pain, I still loved John, even though I couldn't trust him. We decided to try couples therapy. It wasn't easy. In the first sessions, I screamed at John, pouring out all my anger and pain. He listened silently, sometimes trying to explain why he did it. The therapist helped us talk honestly. John admitted that he felt lonely in our marriage, that we had grown apart because of the routine and the children. I was furious, but then I realized that maybe I had stopped paying attention to him, too. We began to work on our issues. Therapy forced us to talk about things we had been avoiding for years, our fears, our expectations, what makes us happy. It was a long process, and there were days when I wanted to give up. But I saw John trying. He spent more time with us, planned family nights, and his apologies seemed sincere. I don't talk to Lisa anymore. Losing a friend was painful, but I knew I couldn't forgive her. I focused on my family and myself. This experience changed me. It taught me that trust is a fragile thing that needs to be protected. I learned to appreciate every moment with John and not take our love for granted. I'm still working on forgiveness, but I believe we can build something new if we try. If you're going through something similar, know that you're not alone. It's normal to feel hurt and angry, but with support and time, you can find a way to heal. Thank you for listening to my story.